Welcome back to 13 Minutes Why Every Man Needs a Why. I am joined today by my good friend, my co-founder, and my brother, Dave Mann. What's up?
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be here.
We're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about a very important topic that I've discovered the hard way. Sometimes men's peer groups and other times outside of men's peer groups, we've gone on retreats, right? It's part of what we do. You need to get away. You need to, sort of get out of the grind and get some clarity, fresh perspective, a nice little massage or hot springs doesn't hurt either. And every single time, guys go up on these journeys, these retreats, or even in peer group, 4 hours is kind of like a mini retreat during your month. And you get clarity. You come in confused, you leave with clarity, which is great. It's amazing because, why every man needs a why. You get back to your why, your purpose, your direction. But then the shit hits the fan every time when I come home with Ariella, my wife, because I'm on a high. She's been doing the grind and I'm talking down at her. I'm not sort of in the trenches with her. There's a little bit of resentment when I can't share with her my high from where I've just experienced and the retreat and the clarity. And she's frustrated with me because I'm up on the mountaintop still and she wants me to come back down to the valley. So in one word, we're going to talk about integration. How the hell do you integrate?
It's a great question. I haven't solved it. I've certainly practiced a lot. The best version of me might spend 30 or 45 seconds in the car before walking in the front door after whatever experience I'm having. It could be a bad day at work. It could be a great day at my peer group, and get focused and think about my values. And I know deep down, I think we all know deep down what works and how we need to show up for our family. And so when I'm at my best, it's taking some time to pause and consider what I'm about to walk into and engage, which is going to be a totally different environment than I'm coming out of. And when I catch myself and I do a good job, my wife's pretty good at acknowledging, hey, thanks for coming in and, spreading some love and joy around versus we've seen you when you're nasty and grouchy and I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Yes. And you're talking about coming home from being in the valley and trying to get back up to sort of neutral ground so that you're not an asshole, right?
That's right.
For sure. And also, we're talking about coming down from the mountaintop, because when you come down from the mountaintop, and I've seen you up on the mountaintop, it is love and light all day long. And then you come down and your wife isn't there, your kids aren't there, the people around you aren't there, right? That's also integration, bringing it down or bringing it to the real.
Yeah. And I'll tie it to the level of success that I've had as a result of my involvement with peer groups, because we've been in it so long and Jody understands it so well. And she's such a huge supporter because she's seen my journey of where I was and who I am now. I'm very fortunate. I'm at a point now where when I come home from peer group or retreat, she knows I'm going to be a better version of myself, a more loving version of myself, because that's how I leave every time, right? So we've got it figured out. We've got a good routine, and I'm very vocal about, hey, I'm going to peer group today, and I'll see you at whatever time I see you, and she can expect a better version of me typically.
Yeah, it's been a source of tension for Ariella and I, especially when, I'll go do off to the side a plant medicine journey, which I'm very fond of. I'm coaching men and helping them walk down that path as well. I think it's a real game changer for a lot of guys, done in the right way at the right time with the right, reasons. But nonetheless, I come back and I'm a more loving version of myself until I'm not. And Ariella has said to me a few times, it's hard for her because I am up on the mountaintop. Yeah. I am so loving. And then it starts to kind of degenerate into status quo. I would say it's better than it was prior. Yeah. And it's getting better and better. But it's hard for her to attach herself to me when I'm that loving, because she doesn't necessarily trust it's gonna last.
Well, I think that's our work, right? I mean, that's what we're both trying to figure out. And I've experienced some of this plant medicine with you, and as the sage that guides us through it, he talks about being in the third dimension can, bring a lot of a lot of new learning for us, which is where I'm at. I'm new to it, but excited for the future, and fortunately, my wife is supportive of the journey that I'm now on there. she's been I've been measured in asking for room to share. If she's in the middle of something, I'll check in with her first. It's almost like a clearing, right? We use clearings in men's peer groups, which is essentially getting everything off our chest, just saying the thing. And so it's, hey, it's now a good time for me to share with you. I'm fortunate in the fact that she's typically interested. And so we'll carve out that time. I've also learned that it can't be the first call. Maybe it's got to be the third or fourth call, or, hey, call me when you have 20, 30 minutes just to listen. I actually had that experience this morning. I went on a plant medicine journey yesterday with some peers of ours. And I had a rough time reintegrating. I had a rough time coming back. I was sad this morning, and she was able to carve out some time for me to hear me, to listen to me. And it was amazing. And I feel great now. I'm very fortunate that I've learned these tools over time as a result of men's peer groups, that I'm able to apply them, to the outside world, outside of peer group and outside of the retreats, outside of the journeys.
Yeah. Regarding the journeys, doing a plant medicine journey, when I started them maybe about a year ago, I thought the journey was the plant medicine experience, going to a retreat, going to a setting, doing the thing, whether it's 24, 48, 72 hours long, whatever it is. And I've come to learn now, having done quite a few of them this year, the real work, the real medicine is what happens afterwards, which is the integration process, which is just as important as the actual direct experience. Have you discovered that?
Yeah, I've discovered it the hard way, because I was like you. I had such an amazing experience, on the medicine, that I figured, well, this is great. This is how it goes. And then I'll go back to everyday life. And what I've learned after, multiple experiences now is that I need to really set my intention to, this is just the tipping point. The beginning of this journey is the medicine, and then the actual execution of what I've learned during the journey starts within 24 or 48 hours after my return. So you're catching me about 36 hours since having an amazing about 20-minute experience of 5, and it was my first time, and I had a rough night's sleep last night, and I didn't feel great this morning, but I'm starting to realize everything that I've learned in the last 36 hours, and how can I reapply that? And obviously there's no accident that I'm sitting here right now. This was meant to be, even though this was scheduled 3 weeks ago.
And we were planning on this topic.
And we were not planning
even 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
we were planning.
Exactly. So I can share that, in the moment, I'm firing on all cylinders, and I wasn't 6 hours ago. And that's interesting. And I can name that, I can label that, I understand how to process that. And I have the right support, and, men were checking in with me this morning. This is another byproduct of the work that we get to do in peer groups, where men just care without judgment. It's unconditional love and support. And I need that. That's exactly what I need. I don't like being lonely. I don't want to, go to the mountaintop by myself. I want other men there to be better together, to walk that journey together.
For the record, plant medicine is not a formal part of men's peer groups. I'm just saying that because we have a bunch of peer groups, and it's not baked into, so to speak, into any of the formal retreats, and lots of guys choose not to. So this is just, you and I and our personal journeys, and me and my coaching work for sure. But let's keep going down this path. Is that good?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge believer that, learning and growing is the only way that I'm, going to be the best version of myself. And I believe that if I stop learning and I stop growing, I'm dead. It's over. And so I'm a seeker, and I'm still trying to, find the magic bullet, if you will. I know that it doesn't exist. But through, consistency and discipline and focus, that's my path. And I get off the path all the time. And I have men like you and others in peer group that help reset my focus. And plant medicine was introduced to us by a peer that I trust, and it's been remarkable. In fact, I was taught a new word yesterday to describe it. It's ineffable. It's indescribable.
So, people kind of sometimes laugh when I say plant medicine. They're like, drugs. Well, maybe. the way I've experienced it has really been medicine. I can see though, where it just becomes another recreational drug. By the way, so what, right? You use alcohol responsibly, use marijuana responsibly. I would argue those aren't medicines. Maybe you can argue cannabis. I don't think it is. But I've never experienced psilocybin as an example as anything other than medicine. I've never used it recreationally, so I don't know from that. But from a medicine perspective, what we mean by medicine is a pathway to healing. Unequivocally, undoubtedly, it has helped me heal as a man and just who I am. And one of the primary ways it's done that is it's softened my rough edges, right? Because I have lived my life not only having rough edges, but priding myself, defining myself. The Enneagram 8, the challenger, the disruptor, the intense, the angry, my way or the highway. And since having started plant medicine, I'm still an asshole, but I catch myself more often. I see it. I'm aware of it. I have tools and resources and experiences, is my point, of what it means to be soft and loving and vulnerable. And it's been transformative for me.
My experience is you're not an asshole. Sometimes you can be an asshole, just like I can be. I've watched you soften. I've seen it firsthand. You are a better version of yourself, since not only we've joined men's peer groups together, but since we've started plant medicine journeys together. And I'm right there with you. And I asked one of our, good friends recently, has a lot more experience with it than I do. I said, hey, I'm just at the beginning of this, and I've done years of therapy and I've been in peer groups for years, and they've all helped make me the man that I am today. I'm grateful for all of it. Lots of mentors, lots of great people in my life. I feel like this could be the fastest way to, my inner peace and my self-love. And speaking to the friend of ours who's done a lot more of it than I have, I said, will I have as much growth and evolution most likely that you have, because we know his story from start to finish? And he said, you already have, man. Like, you're there. Like, I'm watching it real time. And so I'll say the same thing to you. And I didn't realize it till he brought it up to me, because I'm my biggest critic of myself, which is it's way easier for me to love you than it is to love myself. And I'm watching what you're doing, and I love it. And I love you more for it.
Thank you. It means everything. And that comes back to the word integration, because, when I started this maybe a year plus ago, I just thought you had to keep doing it to experience the medicine, and that becomes an addiction. Not physiologically, biologically, I don't think you can become addicted to psilocybin. I just don't think that's how it's wired. There are other drugs, obviously you can, that I don't believe, I'm not an expert, that this is one of them, but you can become addicted to the experience.
Sure.
Right? Where I need to have my heart opened.
Sure.
So I need something outside of me. And my work has been to integrate. How do you take the learning, the opening, and make it worthy, make it meaningful? Otherwise, it is recreation. You're just going on doing it. It's a standalone. It's a one and done. How do I can only speak for myself, how do I bring it back and really integrate it into my daily life while doing the dishes, while being with my kids, while driving carpool, et cetera? That's, to me, been the biggest game changer.
And we're impatient, right? So we want it now, of course. My experience is that, because it's guided, because we haven't experienced it recreationally, I never have. I've never done any drugs recreationally. That it's a process. It's no different than hiring a trainer, going to the gym, setting goals, creating that rhythm of discipline. Mm-hmm. And so the pre-work is really important. Mm-hmm. We talk a lot about fasting in advance. We talk about cleansing of the body in advance. There's such an intense focus around it. And I think it's our personalities that we take that focus really seriously. Mm-hmm. I'm not normally a very disciplined or focused guy.
Really? Up until noon every day. You
are. Other than my diet, maybe. But I find, zero challenge in just harnessing the ability to really dial in, because it's really important to me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to miss the opportunity. Like I assume most humans on this planet, I want to feel happy, and I want to feel love, and I want to feel peace. And I'm convinced, based on my early experience, that if I follow the protocol of the guide, and if I come with clear intentions and a clear, physical health and a clear mind, that I'm going to have a better experience. And that so far has been the exact result. Now, the post-work, the reintegration part, I have learned can be challenging. It can be loving. It can be soft. It can be hard. But I'm in it. I'm committed to it. And like anything, if we commit to it, we're going to get, more out of it the more we put into it. And so I know you and I have committed wholly to the experience to help not only make our lives better, but help support our families and our communities and be better role models, right? At the end of the day, we have a responsibility to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be, for the rest of the world.
Yeah. As you're describing it, that's why it's called a journey. It's not a destination. You sort of begin getting ready, set. I've just been reading a book by Ram Dass, Richard Alpert, who pioneered psychedelics here in America in the 1960s with Timothy Leary and a couple others. And they're the ones who coined set and setting and talk about really that preparation is as crucial to the journey as the actual experience of plant medicine. And you just described some of the ways we do that.
Yeah.
And then the experience, and that's all the setting, making sure, right, you're in the setting that you by design and intention. This is not something you just want to pop at the mall and see how it goes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's responsible. That's how you turn this into medicine. And then the curve, the downside or the backside of that or the front side of that is integration, right? And making time and space for it. So I take when I do a journey, I take at least an entire day afterwards to just sit, to process, to be, right? Which is where you are a day after. Yeah. And maybe it was rushed, and it's a learning process too. Yeah. Right? Because you didn't know it was your first time. Maybe next time it's, hey, I think I need to do it more intentionally with the day after to buffer it in a process. Maybe not, but that's how, and it's your journey. It's not mine, and it's my journey. But that's when it becomes medicine and a medicinal process and a healing journey. Yeah.
And very similar to peer groups, creating a safe environment is paramount to having a successful experience. And as I think about each psychedelic journey, that I've been a part of so far, it's so refreshing and exciting to think about where I was each time, who I was with each time. It's so trusting. It's so safe, right down to the point of you wouldn't want to do it with a friend or a loved one unless you created that exact environment. Mm-hmm. I've had an experience where my wife has attended, but it was created intentionally around having spouses or significant others there. Mm-hmm. The rest of my journeys have been created intentionally to just be with my peers. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't want to do it with a stranger. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't want to do it with a lot of pre-work, and I wouldn't want to do it without not only having my intentions for the journey, but being prepared for integration on the backside and being thoughtful about it. And I'm very fortunate because I have a lot of really, smart, experienced men in my life to help me through that process. So no different than peer group retreats, medicinal journeys, plant medicine journeys. We're pretty consistent with how we design this. Mm-hmm. And I'm a simple guy, bacon and eggs every day is no problem for me. Mm-hmm. The consistency that I find in all of these experiences have helped go apply that to my life. And I'm living the happiest version of my life that I've had at 55 years old for sure. Mm-hmm. Still haven't, reached all the, peaks that I want to reach, but feeling really grounded at this moment.
Yeah, Phil and I have been taking individual men on journeys. We've also done some couples things. You've been a part of that. And I'm committed to this because I've seen especially with a 1-on-2. Phil, myself, we're the two professionals. He's the plant medicine guy, and I'm the coach, the therapist guy, and whoever the journeyman is. And one of the things I have seen is a man open up because two other men have just put their loving, unconditional love and attention on him for 48 hours on this journey to hold, to sit with, right? To be wherever he needs to be from a place of true, genuine, just support. That unto itself, regardless of the medicine, right, has been transformative. And what you did yesterday, and I know you were with 3 men, a plant medicine guide and 2 other guys, just the fact that on a weekday you decided by design, I'm going to take this morning or day, I'm going to go spend it with these 3 guys and just kind of support and watch and witness and tend to and listen to and love. To me, that unto itself is medicine.
Yeah. What comes up for me is thinking about great leaders and great mentors, in present day, that have realized and, maybe begun to even master and now share the difference between transactional leadership, which is what I think our fathers' generations experienced, and transformational leadership, which is what I believe we as fathers are experiencing in our generation. And the bottom line is, if you can model behavior, if you can share experiences with other men in which they may look to you as a role model, or look to you as an example, and it may be what not to do as well as what to do, that is so inspiring to me. And the greatest leaders that I know in this day and time are those that are interested in helping other men learn how to serve themselves and help themselves. And, it's easy to tell somebody what to do. It's so much more beneficial to share with somebody what you did. And I believe that's what men's peer groups, offer. That's what we're talking about here today. And all I can say is that my experience of plant medicine is transforming my life to become a better man and a better version of myself.
Yeah, guys, you're talking about it. I realized that the guys that I've taken on these 2-on-1 solo journeys are all from finance. There's been a few of them. They're buttoned up guys. They're serious guys who come from a world of a much more sort of top-down, hierarchical, structured leadership, right? You kind of climb the ladder, the corporate sector, finance. And I see that Phil and myself, just being with them, sitting in it with them, loving them. We do it around a lot of spirituality. Me drawing down from Kabbalah and my other practices, and Phil has his own, and opening that door to them. And it's just a softer, gentler version of masculinity that they're not used to. But I realize now each one of them walked away wanting more of it, welcoming it. And I think being as touched by that as by the plant itself. That's a transformational idea I didn't even have until you were talking.
Yeah. There's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of jammed up men. And, all we can do is, try to support, one man at a time. And the only way I've figured out how to do that is by being that model of a man. And if somebody's interested in hearing my story and where I've been and how I've gotten to where I'm at, and I'm happy to share. I certainly don't have all the answers, but as we say all the time, we're just better together.
And, I'll come back to, and we'll wind down with integration, because we've been talking mostly about peer journeys, but we also have peer groups, not the same thing. But either one of them, the integration is the most important point, where it's not a one and done. You're now on your own, right? Integration is me calling and checking in and seeing how you're doing, but it's also after a peer group, right? The best peer groups are the ones that aren't just monthly get-togethers. It's, hey, Dave, just checking in, what's going on, or other guys in the group. And I've seen that develop because you can't get through this alone, right? Ram Dass also is the one who has that famous quote that we both love: we're all just walking each other home. And that's integration.
That is it. One of the beginning tenets that's in every peer group meeting is, this is a confidential environment, and what we share in peer group stays in peer group. But what we learn in peer group, we encourage you to apply to your outside world. And I am living proof that I learn from you men at every meeting how to be a better version of myself. And to slow down my thinking and to not overreact and to come in from a softer and more loving environment. And you can say that's not masculine. You can say that's too feminine. That to me is not what's important. What's important is staying connected and loved by those that I want to be loved by and that I'm loving. And so it works. I'm living proof that all of this is working.
I mean, I would argue that is authentic masculinity. And what we're doing is we're reclaiming it. This is a whole other podcast we'll do another time. But, I hate this term toxic masculinity. It's ridiculous. There's no such thing. It's like toxic love.
Yeah.
The moment you say toxic, it's not love. Yeah. It's something else. Right. Toxic masculinity. But this is authentic masculinity, which is to be able to be vulnerable, right? To be able to open up and embrace those who are around you. And I find that that's all of our conversations revolve around this, right? Can we open up? Can we be vulnerable? Can we make room for others? Can we create the safe space? I like to call it the brave space, where we invite others in.
And my strength is in my softness. And that's not, that's a learned behavior. That was not an environment that I grew up in. It was all about strength and loud voices and intimidation. And again, no blame, no judgment. That's that's the journey that, those folks were on. But what I'm inspired by is, how can I be a softer, more loving version of myself? Because I know that's where my strength lies. And harnessing that is the journey for me right now.
Yeah. And I'll end with, that's for me, the integration process. How can I take that open-heartedness that I discovered in whatever, by the way, it's not just plant medicine. Phil and I now call it expanded consciousness, because I do holotropic breathing, which is just a breath work exercise, and chanting and prayer and meditation and yoga and body movement and expanding our consciousness. And that's what retreats are so great for, is you just have these dedicated times and places to do it. But the openness that comes, how do you integrate it back into your life in a daily way? And that to me is my work integration process. And I'll end with this, these conversations, right? Calling you and saying, hey, Dave, I'm struggling and I just wanted to kind of process or work something. Or you on a call this morning saying, hey, I'm sad, right? And shame on me, I didn't follow up. I meant to with, tell me about why you're sad.
Yeah.
But that's part of the integration process too. Can we also be vulnerable in the trenches with the people around us?
And one of the beauties that I've learned in men's peer groups is we have a shared vocabulary that we've learned over time. And so, unequivocally, I'm a better man because of men's peer groups. The bulk of the men that have, well, I'll say every man that's stayed the course, that's committed to it and put everything they can into it, are better men as well.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Aho.
Aho.
All right. Until the next time, let's keep integrating.
Appreciate you.
You too.